Just Kristen Hahn, partner at Rock Solutions, is back with us alongside Republican strategist Maura Gillespie, founder, principal, Blue Stack Strategies. Ladies, welcome back. It's great to see you both. Kristen, I don't know your thoughts on this. The president is the commander in chief. To frame him as the nation's chief law enforcement officer brings a new wrinkle.
I think it's a wrinkle. I think it's scary. Yeah. You've also, when he talks about political crimes, that's terrifying. But also, I mean, if I'm thinking about in my head, like, what's a political crime? Like, you're committing fraud, you're using your PAC money in the wrong way, that type of thing. I mean, he is clearly using the office of the presidency to go after his political foes, and we should all be alarmed by that.
Should Schiff be ready for a knock on the door?
Schiff is ready for a knock on the door.
Okay.
Adam Schiff is a seasoned, professional, and he knows exactly how to deal with it, and he's fine with it.
Maura, I have a question. I'm wondering, there will be lawmakers that are asked, do you think that the president is the chief law enforcement officer? What's your reaction to that?
I would hope they would say no. I also think in that clip, he went on to say that he was the victim of the worst political crimes in the history of the world. I think that there are many people who would push back on that, one being, Navalny. I think that what Putin did to him, and you could go down a whole list of people, but it's just a little bit stark for him to make that comparison for himself. But yes, I would hope that members of Congress, respecting the Constitution and also the role that the different separation of powers has, reminding us and the American people that they stand by the Constitution and not just a blank check for whatever the president says and does.
The president got a little bit of blowback from a lower court today on his plans to permanently lay off, I guess I should say, or fire federal workers who have been furloughed. Russ vote today promising 10,000. The first number we got last week was 4,000, but 10,000 workers in all. The court says that will be stayed for 2 weeks. If you're a federal worker right now, your fate depends entirely on the courts? And,
I think it does to some extent, but it's the third branch of government, right? And that judge also said that, they think that this will be found illegal in the long term. So, yes, in the immediate term, it's 2 weeks. I think that Russ Vought has wanted to do this for a very long time. There are a lot of things you can't do legally when it comes to the federal workforce.
But does there become a point, Maura, where this somewhat backfires, that people that are laid off, people that are frustrated, start to put more pressure on their lawmakers to end this?
Absolutely. I do think that members of Congress are going to hear from constituents, but more so, they're also going to be faced with the reality of the government shutdown optics. The messaging that's happening for Republicans has been that the Democrats won't come to the table because they're pushing this healthcare subsidies issue that, it expires at the end of the year, but they're, pushing for conversations to happen now. Right now, Republicans feel as though they've been winning the messaging war. But if these firings start happening, they're going to lose it because it's going to look as though Trump and Russ Vought simply wanted the shutdown and urged the shutdown because they wanted to do this. And that's a bad optic for Republicans, especially Republicans in leadership.
I am still struck by how little the talking points have changed since the beginning of this whole conversation. We spoke earlier with Pete Aguilar. He chairs the Democratic conference, talking about the fact that Democrats and Republicans still aren't talking. But, Kristen, a lot of them are here. Hakeem Jeffries pulled back his members. A lot of Republicans never left, so they're just all walking around, bumping into each other up there. Nobody's talking. Is that real?
So here's the thing about the Democrats. We're all looking at this from a political lens. A lot of these members, a lot of them are looking at it for like, what's going to happen? It's not the end of the year. It's November 1st when people start looking at their premiums changing. So the idea that they're going to blink or, whatever before then is, it's not going to happen. But this is really going to affect people's lives. And there's real concern about that. And when Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the party, we don't coordinate a lot on messaging sometimes, but I have to give him credit. He was like, it's all about healthcare, and we're all going to talk about that, and everybody's done it.
Maura, what's the breaking point here? You talk about the November 1st deadline, then you have people traveling for the holidays. So what is the breaking point?
It used to be that when the federal workforce, but especially the military, didn't get paid. I do think with, services like air traffic control and things at the TSA at the airports, that's going to be a big problem, especially ahead of a holiday season. Services that are not operating at full capacity. I don't think that Thune has necessarily asked for my input directly, but if I were to give it, I would say that it would be helpful if Senator Cassidy and Senator Bernie Sanders, who chair and are the ranking member of the Senate Help Committee, which is health, education, labor, and pensions, if they got together this week, and started discussing, okay, how do we put together a package that would help with the Obamacare subsidies, put something together in good faith and show that they're making an effort on this issue, then that may help us to end the shutdown with Democratic support, knowing they have guarantees from their Senate counterparts and colleagues to do something about it.
The president removed a number of pain points from the calendar, as we've been discussing today, including paychecks for military. That would have been today, could have been an inflection point, maybe prompting some conversation. But the $8 billion from R&D money that the president has allocated for this only gets us through one pay period. I feel like nobody's talking about this. It also could turn out to be illegal. Not that his Department of Justice would act on it, but what happens in the next pay period? Do we have another inflection point?
Exactly. I think we do. We have
So I'll meet you in 2 weeks.
When you have I think we have an inflection point every single day, honestly. Yep. I mean, you even look at, everybody likes to vilify government contractors, but a lot of government contractors with private companies who contract with the government,
sure,
who are people who watch this show, are really impacted by this. Companies like General Dynamics, GDIT, others, and they're trying to figure out how to pay their employees. They're not the devil here, they're trying to do the same work that government employees are doing, just on the private sector side.
But you keep talking about deadlines every day, and there's still this threat of deadlines doesn't seem to bring out any movement at all.
I think that once you hit November 1st, there's going to be some movement. But, at some point, the government has to open again.
Yeah. Hey, Maura, would Speaker John Boehner, your old boss, have kept the rank and file in Washington? Would he have members here?
I think he would, because he knows how important it was to show that they were getting work done, or at least trying to make it in good faith effort by having conversations. That has always been sort of what we've experienced. And, as a staffer, I've been through 3 shutdowns, the longest being the one in 2020, 2021. It's hard to express how stressful it was when it went past 30 days, because especially on the Hill, staffers only get paid once a month, and Hill staff don't make a ton of money. And so there was real concerns about people being able to pay their rent. And I just think that having sensitivities to that and recognizing your staff is there working essentially for free, not knowing if they can, make ends meet, these members should be cognizant of that, because they're the ones that are there doing the work for them day in, day out.
And Kristen Hahn and Maura Gillespie, we have to leave it there. We will see you tomorrow back here on Balance of Power.